I'm out. All right, I'm gonna head out.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuning in to the network. Thank you very much. Did you know your network is your network? Your network is your network. Get ready for the episode.
Bring it back. What's going on, everybody? We are back again. Sorry for the interruption, technical difficulties. But listen, I'm very super excited to be with you guys today because last time I was here with my man FlipnGrind, and just it's crazy, man. And then I got my guy Patrick here, and we're gonna make the introduction. But I just want to land a point that the way FlipnGrind explains wholesaling real estate is like mind blowing. And listen, if you guys want to start getting into real estate, that's a great way, and you don't even need a license. But listen, we're going to talk about market corrections because we got my mortgage guy in the house, and then, we're also going to talk about some content. But listen, FlipnGrind, what's going on, bro? How
What's
you doing
up?
today?
Good, I'm good.
My guy, Pat, what's going on, Pat?
Hey, brother.
With the Knox lending team, mortgage lender, man. What's going on, guys? So before we got rudely interrupted by the technical difficulties, I was asking you, Dan, how do you explain what you do to people for the first time?
Just a quick, wholesale, introduction. So all, properties, mainly distressed properties, beat up looking properties, doesn't always have to be distressed. And you're trying to get the seller, or we like to call most sellers, to agree to sell that property to you at a discounted price. That's it. Once you and that seller go back and forth, whatever situation they're going to, whatever reason they're trying to get out of that situation and trying to sell their home, you get it at a discounted price, you lock it under contract, and then you sell your contract to a cash buyer or investor who's going to go in there, flip it, renovate it, put it back on the market and sell it or keep it as a rental or whatever that cash buyer or investor decides to do. So you're just the middleman. I'm just the guy looking for these properties for a cash buyer. That's it. And then I make my finder's fee in, I get it under contract. They sell it to me for a certain price. And then let's say I'll add $10,000, $15,000 for the finder's fee. Of course, the numbers have to make sense, right? Because it's all about making that deal enticing and super, you want that cash buyer to want that deal really bad, right? So you want there to be a lot of equity in there for that cash buyer.
Because in most situations, what would happen, right, would the wholesaler would kind of collect that assignment fee with almost on some shade type stuff, right? So you're going into it with a different approach, correct?
Yeah, honestly, man, wholesalers get a bad rep, right? A lot of people in real estate, they think wholesalers are a bunch of cowboys out here just trying to, mess the market up with getting people under contract and screwing people and all this stuff. But I'd rather be transparent, man. I'd rather tell the person that I'm dealing with, listen, I'm a real estate wholesaler. I'm trying to help you in your situation on whatever reason you're trying to sell the home quickly. Usually a lot of times they're trying to sell the home quickly because they're about to go into foreclosure. They don't want to lose the home to the bank. So we offer a service. We're like, okay, sell it to us at a discounted price. We can get you out of that situation. We could save your credit. You can walk away with some money. And, maybe sometime in the future you can start over when you get things situated, whatever you decide, right? So that's the service we offer. And I believe being transparent with people right off the bat and letting them know you're a wholesaler, and I'm going to be assigning your contract over to a cash buyer. It just makes things a lot more smoothly through the process. So you don't get to closing, and I've seen this, you get to closing, and that seller finds out that you're making a $30,000 assignment fee off that. They're going to be like, fuck no. You know what I mean? They're going to be pissed. Wait a minute. You're making $30,000 off this deal. You know what I mean?
You just
so
swindle me over here.
no, fuck that. Just be transparent right away, and then, and I think a lot of it can be panned out if more wholesalers are just honest and offer more of a service than just trying to get someone under contract to make a quick check. You know what I mean?
And I like the way you break that down, bro.
That's wholesaling in a nutshell.
That's exactly true. And you know, as a realtor, I kind of like was cautious about even going into wholesaling because of the reputation that, you know, other people. But like that, you're explaining it's a service. And now you have done your first wholesale deal, and it was virtually, correct?
Yeah.
Like,
So I did all online. I didn't actually meet the seller. You know, obviously my first deal, like I explained in the last podcast, was in North Carolina. Now I used to live in North Carolina for like 4.5 years, so I was familiar with the area that I was, and the area that I was wholesaling in. You know, I used a software called Batch Leads. It's kind of like a souped up Zillow, and you can search for properties, off market properties. I skip traced them. I mean, I got the number to the property. I blasted out a bunch of text messages on the site. This particular person got back to me. She said, "Yeah, listen, I have renters in there, you know, but their lease is up. You know, I want to sell. I just want this property off my hands." I went under a contract with her. I reached out to probably like 5 or 6 cash buyers / investors in North Carolina. Linked up with one. They were really interested in the deal. You know, sent them the contract, and then the rest was history. I made 10 grand off that first deal. So,
how can somebody get started in wholesaling, like if they wanted to?
YouTube, Instagram, you know, so like that world, learn it. There's so many videos on it. You can learn it via virtually, you know, and then and it's not all about it. It's about learning and applying it, right? So you learn it, you apply it, and you know, you'll get a wholesale deal eventually. At least that's how it was for me.
I think that's the big thing right there is applying it.
Yes.
You watch a video a million times.
Yeah.
Unless you take that initiative to actually go apply it
Right.
yourself.
Mortgage lending.
9 years. 9 long, wonderful years.
What did you do before mortgages? Man, bro. You used to sing?
I did. Some good times.
Listen, we're gonna later on in the show we're gonna bring up something for the guests so they can see you in action.
Okay.
But listen,
Videos.
The past comes back to haunt us all.
Can't ever get rid of anything on the internet.
Why did you want to get into mortgage lending, like opposed from like becoming a realtor?
So I was actually, it's kind of a crazy story a little bit. So I was actually in the process of starting to get into real estate, get my real estate license, but I was also in the process of buying a house. Anyone that's ever bought a house knows, you know, realtors make commission. So you need 2 years history. I was still singing and needed steady income to get our house. Got our house. It's like, okay, I'm going to get my real estate license. Go ahead with this. The mortgage lender that we used told us our payment and our interest rate the night before we closed, and we get to the table the next day, payments $250 more, interest rates a quarter point higher than he told us. We have a $5,000 deposit on the house. Our entire apartment is packed into a moving truck, and it's like, what do you do? At that point, you know, there were no laws in place to stop that from happening. All right, since then, there's been stuff in place. So you have to be disclosed your interest rate and everything 3 days prior to. It's called TRID. For anybody out there really wondering what it's called. So fast forward, I'm like, all right, well, I need to figure out what happened. So go out, get a couple books on mortgages, start researching this, because I'm not going to lie, I'm like, I would say probably 90% of the homeowners that come to me for their mortgages, they're not exactly sure what they don't know what a debt to income ratio is.
And can I interject on
Please,
situation?
This is
And because my wife and I have bought and sold like 3 homes so far. Well, we just bought our 3rd, but we sold the other 2 just because of moving as much as we have. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Because the
It's
fact
not
that
a great
like
feeling.
no, and I can't imagine going to the table, and finding out your payment is $250 more, your interest rate is higher. You know, like
But
that was
it happened a lot back then. It happened a lot.
Yeah.
That's why they put laws in place to prevent the consumers from that actually happening.
right.
The best part about it is that the lender wasn't even at the table.
Oh shit.
So like I'm like, all right, well we got to sign. He's not answering his phone. We got to sign these papers. So I started learning about the process. At that time, my wife was working with somebody else who was in the mortgage business, and I had kind of really started to understand the process, and I got linked up with this guy and kind of took me under his wing, and
Gotta love those guys, right?
that's what happened, man. I mean, that's really how I got into the business, and I was like, I feel like I could do this a little bit better than real estate. I understand it. I understand how to do it. I understand what to do, and I just kind of started right from there.
And real quick, I want to shout out to Close with Lexi. That's the one who introduced me to you when I was brand new in real estate. You were the first mortgage lender I met, and we actually closed some deals together. But I think that's why, honestly, like exactly what you're saying is like why I've dove into like the information part of it, because I really want to be able to help educate people that otherwise wouldn't know. You know what I'm saying? And that kind of sounds like what you're doing. And let me ask you this, right? What do you think about the market right now? Like, you hear a lot of people saying there's going to be corrections, this and that. What is your take on it?
Right. So if I knew that 100%, I'd be a very, very rich man. So, I mean, would we be sitting here talking? Probably not. I'd be living Leonardo DiCaprio's life somewhere. But so I hear all the market correction things too. One of my main concerns is, we live in an area right between New York and Washington, D.C. The housing prices there are insane. 1,000-foot row homes in Alexandria, Virginia. I don't know if Philly's not in Virginia, but 1,000-foot row homes selling for $1 million in Virginia. So you got row homes selling here for $300,000 now. Are we really that far out of the market? It's 500 square foot property to rent in New York, which is like a shoebox. You know what I mean? People are living there with a whole family. $3,000 a month. Are we really going to have a market correction where the housing prices come down, or are we just actually catching up? Were we undervalued for that long of a time?
Right.
And now people that, I mean, COVID changed the world, right? So people wanted to move out of cities and all out, they were finding pockets in Philadelphia where it's like, wow, I can buy a really nice house with land for cheap, and the taxes are nothing. Like what are my taxes? $2,500 a year in Northeast Philly. So I can move down there. I can I can drive over to Trenton and be in New York in 45, 50 minutes, right, and make all the money I'm making there and live outside the city. I don't got to rent anymore. Right. So to me, I don't know if the housing prices are ever going to go back to where they were. People are cautious. Interest rates are going up. They're like, oh, the housing prices are going to come down. A year, but you have that working against you. You also have the fact that the materials to rebuild these houses is not necessarily ever going to be coming down. I mean, 2x4s aren't going to be $2 a 2x4 again, right? So the cost to rebuild your house is going to be expensive compared to what it used to be. So that drives the price and the value of the house up. You also have a new house that's being built down the street for $500,000 because of how much it costs. That's also going to be bringing now your value up to your house, and then, then we can go into interest rates and how low they were and how they may never touch that again and how high they went just this year. The beginning of this year, I remember in January locking somebody for 3.5%. Yep. And now, now some people are getting locked in at anywhere from 5.5% to 6.5%.
Let me ask you this, right? Is it still a good time to get into real estate? Everybody always says it's always a good time to get into real estate. Is that still true?
I think the way things are going now, you should be pushing to buy. If you don't own a primary home, you should be pushing to buy your primary home right now. I see a lot of people that I follow, a lot of people that are very knowledgeable in the market, thinking that owning a home in 15 years is gonna be kind of a commodity, because first of all, the homes are being all bought up. There's a lot of apartment complexes going up, condos going up. That single family dream home that everybody wants to have is becoming less and less affordable right now. And if interest rates continue to climb for the numerous reasons that they are climbing, and that could be, I guess, a whole nother show if you want to. We can go down rabbit holes and all kinds of other stuff if you want, Just. But if they keep climbing, and the housing prices stay the same and the wages stay stagnant, you're going to be affording less and less and less. I had clients when the interest rates were in the threes that were approved for $350,000. Now interest rates where they are now, they can't even get $225,000.
Shit.
And there's not much on the market for $225,000.
Right.
So
I can attest to that. We just bought in April, and I don't even want to get into how much it fucking costs for us to buy our house. You know what I mean? Because of the how much that particular house was worth a year ago versus how much we bought it a year later. But the interest rates were better in April. We locked in. We actually locked in the interest rates in February, but they honored because we had it locked in for
that's one heck of an extension they
60
gave you.
days or something. Well, I think it was 60 days, and we just met it right on. We closed literally like 4 days before, that 60-day window was closed, and then the interest rates would have went up. So we locked in at like 3.2, I think 3.3 or some shit like that.
And what are they at right now?
Anywhere from 5.5%, 6.5%.
Yeah.
You're looking at different kind of structures. You have USDA loans, you have FHA loans, you have conventional loans, and they're all going to carry a different interest rate as to where your credit score is. A lot of what I see now is, unfortunately, people that want to buy houses in order to live right now are taking out a lot of money from other places, and incurring more debt, which then gives them less of the ability to buy more of a house. When you talk about debt to income ratio and how much money you have going out every month, how much money you can actually use for your home.
And that's another thing, right? Debt to income ratio, because even the clients that I've gotten, it's like, and even me as a realtor is like, man, what is debt to income ratio, right? So how does debt to income ratio affect like these interest rates right now?
So your debt to income ratio is your mortgage payment,
okay,
which is your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Right? It's your mortgage payment along with anything that is reporting on your credit. So you're talking about your car payments, you're talking about credit cards, student loans. Use 50% of the student loan payment. If there's no payment deferred, you still have to use that and count it against you in some way, because at some time you're going to have to be repaying it. Okay? So you have all that combined. Your monthly income you can use for a conventional loan, 50% of your income, or an FHA loan you can use up to, in some cases, 57% of your income.
Wow.
Depending on what your credit score is, to get an approval.
Got you. And listen, I want the audience to know, if you got any questions as it pertains to mortgages, real estate in general, I'm repping the AWS team. Shout out to the team. Your local real estate agents are here in RE/MAX Affiliates. This episode is also sponsored by RE/MAX Affiliates. So listen, if you're trying to get into real estate, we have a program where we can actually get you enrolled into a school, and we can do it with the quickness. Because I want to ask you too about, like, how can you get into the mortgage business? Like, are you looking to build your team right now? Like, are you looking for other lenders to come in under you?
I've asked numerous people. It's actually not as easy to get into the lending side. There's a really hard test that you have to take. It's got like a 40% fail rate. And it's really all about the laws of lending. I mean, you're a banker, so there's so many laws, there's so many things that you have to make sure that you're covering your back on. And the test is tough. They give you like 3 hours and 10 minutes to take the test. It's only 125 questions, but every single question has 4 answers to it.
Right.
And it's like, well, which one is the best answer? It's like, remember when you would go into school and it'd be like, okay, well, I'm going to give you 4 sentences. Which sentence, has to have a comma somewhere? Circle that sentence. And like, you have to find just that one, the one that matches the best. So it's a pretty tough test. Love to build my team. So if anybody's looking, contact me. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty crazy industry right now. I've had some people reach out to me and over the years, and they want to get into the business. And when it comes to taking the test part and then realizing that it's like you have to actually put the work in. Yeah, there's classes around, there's internet classes that you can take, but for me to pass it, I still have them. I have 700 flashcards that I made myself, and it wasn't like I printed them out and made them. Like, I hand wrote every single one of them. I'm just a firm believer if you're writing the stuff down, it just sticks with you a little bit more, and then
Absolutely.
I can go through the cards and
Now, just to add, like you just mentioned, the industry is crazy right now, and it all, believe it or not, it all encompasses mortgage lenders, real estate investors, real estate agents, project manager, like anything involving that realm. It all encompasses a little bit of that chaos, because even now, what I'm seeing as a real estate wholesaler, it's getting a little bit harder to make deals because these cash buyers and investors are a lot more picky because of the
It has
interest
to be a
rate.
good deal.
It's got to be a really good deal because the interest rates are higher now, and not a lot of lenders want to, lend in particular cases, that where they would have lended 6 months ago. You know what I mean? And like, and especially with like, I talked about it before with the refinancing. Some of these investors do the BRRRR method. You got to find a lender or a bank that's going to allow you to refinance, pull out that 80% equity of the cash value of that house and stuff like that. So it's getting harder even for
How does that work with
I'm in.
refis? Do they still go by like your
6 months.
debt to income ratio as well?
Mm-hmm.
So okay, wow. All right. Now let me ask you guys this, right? Even you, Dan, in wholesaling, right? What, like, because you hear in the world we're in a recession, right?
Yeah.
So what made you want to get into wholesaling, like knowing how much actual grind it is, work?
No, honestly, I think it was,
he's hitting you hard today, huh?
yeah. Because and I've mentioned this before, when I started seeing just like, or following people, right? Just normal people, like who started wholesaling themselves and just applying everything that they were learning and trying all these different niches and pulling these different like lists and what I mean by niches and lists, I mean like pre-foreclosures, tax liens, vacant properties, tired landlords, free and clears, expired listings and stuff like that. The success that I was seeing from these other wholesalers, it just kind of opened my eyes to, wait a minute, there's no way that all these people are wholesaling out here being successful, and and that I can't do it as well. You know what I mean? So that just kind of pushed me to explore wholesaling and get into it myself. And once I got that first deal, and once that, I closed on that first deal, it really opened my eyes. So wait a minute, I can do this. Yes, it's a grind, because you're reaching out to so many different people, so many different off-market properties. But like I told you before, I'm doing it part-time. I work full-time, so I'm only doing it part-time. So I'm spending maybe 4 to 6 hours a week just actually wholesaling. And I'm trying to get it to where if I can get a deal a month, then, just doing it part-time, then, getting that extra income helps.
Because this is another.
That's a grind and a hustle. I mean, if you work 4 to 6 hours a week, making $20 an hour, you're not making even close to what you make. If
Right.
you get one deal in, and one deal takes you a month of we put 20, 30 hours in
Right.
to make $10,000.
Right.
See, and that's what like I love that, like, because I'm real big on, like, right now, like, ownership and going after your dream, and, like, basically you're positioning yourself with you have your full-time job.
Yeah.
And thank you for your service, man. And
Thank you.
but you're grinding on the side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
And-
because I know that, and I've said this before, my time in service is going to end. I'm going to get out, I'm going to retire, whatever the case may be. And what am I going to do next? Because right
That's a
now,
nugget, man.
realistically, I'm at 13 years active duty in the military. I can retire in 7 years. That puts me at 43. Right? What am I going to do? What am I just going to retire and that's it? You know what I mean? At 43 years old, I'm done. No, like, I know at that point in my life, I don't know if I know at that point in my life, I want to be able to have the time to be able to do whatever I want to do in terms of, like, okay, working or, diving more into real estate than I am currently. And, I can't, I wish I could wholesale. If I could I told you this before, bro, if I could wholesale full time, man, I know I would get 2 to 3 deals a month, easy, but I don't have the time to cold call and blast out text messages and answer those text messages. Because a lot of the text messages I get back are, I've said it before, fuck you, take me off your list. But I'm also getting a lot like, yeah, send me an offer. What are you trying to, you know what I mean? But a lot of those offers don't, you do the math on those wholesale deals and sorry, like there's only $10,000 equity in your house with how much you owe to the bank, how much liens you might have on the property. I can't wholesale that deal, so, and there are other ways. It's not all about just wholesaling, and I'm diving into this now. Wholesaling was just the gate, the doors opening, entryway for me to get into real estate. And,
it's like an entry-level position almost.
Right. And you can make a lot of money off wholesaling. Like I said, I follow wholesalers who are doing 10 deals a month, 15 deals a month. They scaled it to where, they hired virtual assistants. They got people out there driving for dollars for them. They're making $150,000 a month, and after paying their employees, they're probably pocketing most of that, but, they're spending a lot more hours and a lot more effort to do that. I can't. I just know Yeah.
And that's what the beautiful thing, even like with all of us being here, like your network is your net worth. And I really believe in that because, like, it's all about, like we were talking about, building a team, right? Like,
Right.
What does that even mean? And it means this: building relationships, building rapport, being able to pick up where one can't. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, it's going back to that whole building a team, building partnerships and stuff like that. I think that's scaling in itself. You eventually hit that plateau, whether, in your entrepreneurship, in your side hustle, in your business, whatever the case may be, where you can't do it by yourself anymore.
That's absolutely true.
Eventually my wholesaling hustle is going to get me to the point where I want to be an investor myself. Guess who I'm going to have to come see eventually? This guy. I'm going to have to come knock on your door like, hey, man,
So
I need a mortgage on this rental property. I got the 3.5% down payment.
So let's dive into
I need
that.
you to lend me that money. You know what I mean?
Let's dive into that, Pat. What are the programs that you have for investors? Because that was the disconnect when I got into real estate, was like investing versus first-time home buyers is like a whole different world. So what programs do you have?
First-time home buyers, you're looking at you can do 3 to 3.5%.
Right.
Conventional people think that, I got to have 20% down for my house when you're buying your primary house that you're going to live in. That's not true. 3%, 3.5%, you can get into a house. And a lot of times there's programs to help with down payments and closing costs. Right. Now, when you get onto the investor side, it's a little bit different. All right, so you can do, there's programs where you can do an investment as little as 15% down. Now, it's more of almost like a fix and have for an investment property program. You take money out, you fix up the house, 15% down. But there's also, that pesky interest rate thing.
Right.
The less you put down on an investment property, the higher your interest rate's going to go.
Right.
So 20% is really kind of like the best way to go when you're buying an investment property, 20% down. 25% down, your interest rate's going to go down. It's you have more skin in the game. You know, they say, 0% down loans. Nobody has any, skin in the game.
Right.
They can just walk away from it. Well, I didn't pay for anything anyway. I don't care if I lose it.
Right.
So the more money you put down on the investment property, obviously the better. Obviously that can't always happen though. So there are programs like the 15%, that only works in certain situations though, when something needs to be fixed up and you plan on keeping the property. Right. 20% down is really, the sweet spot where you need to be.
20%.
Well, that's my point. Eventually, I'm going to have to, if I want to be an investor myself and own these properties that, you and I discuss, I'm going to have to come knocking on your door one day. You know what I mean? Like, and it all ties in, just like I said earlier. All of it, the lender world, the real estate world, it's all encompasses each other.
And then that's the beautiful.
Unless you're buying properties, with straight, your cash flow. You got the money in the bank to buy a $500,000 property, just buying it outright.
And right now, what they did, I mean, the banking world did,
is that the feds? Like, because you always hear the Fed. What is that?
It's more along the lines of just the industry itself. Right. So they know foreclosures are down the pike. They're coming. I mean, people didn't pay their bills for 2 years. For whatever circumstances, it was terrible. But there's going to be a lot of foreclosures coming. They're already starting to pop up. And they don't want investors to come up and scoop all these properties up on low interest rates. So interest rates are going higher anyway as it is. Right. So now you have investor interest rates that are going even higher than your primary interest rates. I actually have a program right now that we can compete or beat probably everybody, including the bigger banks, Wells and stuff like that, for investment properties with one of the programs that we have. I priced, the gentleman came to me the other day, he's buying an investment property. He was at, over 7% interest. I got him. Jeez. I quoted him with this program just over 6. Now, on a $250,000 house, that's a nice chunk of change monthly that he's going to be saving and putting back in his pocket on investment. So, I mean, that's just something that you have to look at right now, is that investment rates are a little bit higher, but it's still an investment. At the end of the day, if you need to move that property and you need to unload it, you can and you can still even make money. You're renting it out. Have someone else pay your mortgage on that property. A lot of people don't have a pension. A lot of people don't have a 401k. So if you can get that money to get that investment, and you can get a solid renter in there, and the way homes are appreciating right now, say you buy a $300,000 home, in 20 years, it might be worth $500,000, right? So
it's crazy.
Now, in 20 years from now, if you set everything up correctly, and you have your leases, and you're paying your mortgage, and you're throwing a little bit extra, 20 years from now, you might owe nothing on that mortgage, right? So then you're going to retire, and boom, there's $500,000 right there. And then you offload your property, and you have your pension that other people have that you may not have, depending on the employment status that you have.
Man, this is like a master class, yo. We getting deep, nitty gritty with it.
I mean, yeah, it can get deeper than that. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm only here because you told me we were going to talk about conspiracies.
Listen, if they only heard the recording before the recording, thank God we weren't live.
No, it's. I'm telling you, because going back to, you just mentioned that the interest rates aren't going to go lower because the banks don't want all these investors coming in and buying up all these foreclosures. Yeah. That makes it harder on wholesalers. If you think about it, like, you put it in perspective. So if our job is to offer a service to people, to buy their property at a discounted price to get them out of that pre-foreclosure situation or whatever, but if they're foreclosing on homes that are barely even paid off, then wholesalers are going to have a lot harder times with the equity there, right? There's not a big enough spread for a wholesaler to make a wholesale deal, and a cash buyer or an investor to come in, get that property off a wholesaler, and then themselves, after putting money into the property, if they have to make any money. So what does that do? What does that open a door for? especially people in real estate or anyone in this realm, you start circumventing different avenues of, okay, for me as a wholesaler, now I start thinking about, wow, maybe I might have to, delve into like creative financing, subject to the mortgage or the, you know what I mean? Like where I take over.
Explain that.
So, all right, I'll talk a
On the
little bit
spot.
about, remember, I'm new to this, but no, subject to, right? You pretty much take over someone else's mortgage. You give them.
Like seller financing almost.
Right, creative financing, seller financing,
Gotcha.
where I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this would be in your guys' realm, and I'm learning more about this. You pretty much take over the mortgage. You offer maybe a cash out, like, hey, I'll give you a few grand, $5,000, let me take over your mortgage. I'll make the payments. And I think the house stays in the seller's name, or the house goes in your name. I forget how that works with subject to.
Me on this one.
Yeah, with subject to, I'm still, like I said, I don't want to give out misinformation on subject to, and I'm actually diving in more into this, educating myself more into this. But
this is what I love about.
But
online.
creative financing in itself, you start delving into that, because when everything shifts, so does your tactics, right? So something shifts, the market shifts, and whatever your involvement is in the market, whether you're a banker, a lender, an investor, your tactics shift alongside, the market, and it has to. You know what I mean? Because in the end of the day, we're all trying to, what do I normally say? I'm just trying to get that bag. No.
Just trying to get this bread, dog.
No, but you have to. You got to switch up your tactics a little bit to go with.
I feel like that's a very big disservice that they're not teaching our kids in school these days. Is that you might have these safe spots you can be in right now when you're in school, but when you get out into the world, unless you're putting the work in yourself, man, unless you're doing that grind, it doesn't matter what job you're in.
Right.
Like if you don't wake up every day and go to your job, no one's going to be there and be like, "Here's a paycheck." Right. So
that's
and
real.
it's either you go and you go and you work for a company, or you go and you work for yourself. Right. I mean, are there any real other options that you can make money? I mean, because no one's just going to give you money.
Right.
So
nobody's gonna come save you.
Well, and then I think, you're right, because even with entrepreneurship, right, that's something you're big on, and we discuss a lot about, right? Because technically, even though I have a full-time job, I'm getting a paycheck. My side hustle is entrepreneurship, right? Because I started a wholesaling business myself. I created an LLC, to protect my wholesaling endeavors and stuff like that. So technically, that is entrepreneurship. But there's only two ways. You're either working for someone or working for yourself. And at the end of the day, you have to grind.
And even when you are an entrepreneur, some entrepreneurs are really not entrepreneurs, because like even when you have a client, some people, it's just we could go deep into that, but like I was telling you before we started, like marketing is powerful.
Yeah.
And being able to build an audience, create content, and then drive traffic somewhere is a lot of leverage.
And nowadays, not to cut you, marketing involves, like, marketing is so useful, especially social media marketing, if you call it that. I'm probably saying it wrong. Think about the power that has for any type of employment, business, whatever you're in. Like case in point, he didn't even realize, with your whole Facebook ad there, you're like, how the hell did I end up being an ad for, I don't know, the video we were looking at, your ad play. Dude, that's so powerful.
So to backtrack that story, one of my good friends had called me, and we were discussing investment properties and interest rates, because he knows about the program that I have. And the next day, he texts me a screenshot. He's listening to a podcast, and right at the bottom of the screen is an ad for me, and I don't even pay for that ad or anything. He's like, "How does this come up?" And I was like, I have no idea, but it's just things that are always constantly recording us, picking us up from our phones.
Oh yeah, that AI is crazy.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's in today's world, and what I mean about how powerful that could be is, in today's world, that alone, your face getting out there just like that on social media, like, people are going to see that.
Everybody's
like,
their own brand.
Right. People are going to be like, shit, I need a lender.
And that's
Holy shit, I just saw this dude. And not that, like, I wouldn't say people are just out there, I'm going to look for a lender, but, like, that's going to hit in someone's, they're going to stick with that. Like, oh, we just saw this guy's ad. We're trying to get a mortgage on the house. Call him. Like, you know
I've
what I mean?
always used social media to really state, it's a cliche kind of thing, but it's top of mind. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I do a closing or I do something like this. I post it on social media, Knox Lending Team,
Right.
.com, and listen, I've been lucky enough in my life where I have gotten to meet some extraordinary people and meet a lot of people doing the things that I've done. So a lot of those people, you end up staying in contact through social media. Whether social media is good or bad, that's a whole different topic. But, I mean, the good part is, like, I see friends from high school, I see their kids grow up, and then I see them every 2 or 3 years when I go to special functions, and at least I know kind of what's going on in their life where we have a conversation to start and talk about. Well, those same people, they see me and what I do in my business, and they will reach out to me just for simple things like posting a great closing or anything like that. The power of social media is just incredible, and I mean, how many lives is it destroyed on the other end too? So I mean, it's
Right.
just it's powerful in each way.
Yeah.
It's how you use it.
exactly. It's a tool, and you said it. You're like, everybody's a brand, and that's why I'm such an advocate for content creation, because you are your own brand,
Right.
and like, you don't need, like, passion doesn't need permission,
Right.
and you don't, like, what I had to break out of was like worrying about what people think and wanting acceptance, because I'm in the deep end right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm in the deep end, and nobody's coming to save me. But guess what? I'm focused, and I love where I'm at, because, like, the alignment. You just start getting aligned with extraordinary people that are on the same path, on the same mission, and now understanding content creation is like, for business owners, even like for realtors, and I know you just said it, like, at a closing, it's like, yes, that's something personal for your clients, but it's like, what audience are you serving? What value are you giving? Because everybody nowadays is selfish, and they just want to figure out how to do it themselves. So that's where I came to the conclusion that, like, man, everybody wants to be online, so now I got to start to pivot and transition to educating entrepreneurs how to do what I'm doing right now, a full production by myself. You know what I'm saying? Live streaming with Switcher Studio. Shout out to Switcher Studio. But yeah, man,
I got to give you kudos, bro, because I've been with you, I feel like, since the beginning, and from where you've had the studio to where you've taken the studio, you've done great things, man. You've had a lot of awesome guests. I follow you. Mad respect, brother.
I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
One of my cameras are down, and this is like what I'm talking about. one man band.
Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt the drum, but here we go. All right, we are back. So you said something very nice about the studio. I wanted to give everybody a little drum. So
The spot.
look, all iPhones, y'all. All iPhones. Stop overthinking it.
What are you marketing for Apple now? No, I'm
Hopefully they'll send me a couple. Like, man, this guy's really using our products. But no, I appreciate the compliment, Pat. And here's the iPad that. Oh, they didn't even see it. My bad. Oh, right here. But yeah, man, and that's the powerful thing now, because I did this by myself, and I don't mean to be selfish, but it's like nobody else wanted to put in the work.
Right.
Because it is work.
No one is going to have, like, your dreams and your aspirations are going to be your own. You know what I mean? You'll have people to support you. You got people on the sidelines who, like, believe in you, stuff like that, but no one's going to believe in yourself as much as you are. You know what I mean? So, and it goes for anything, like any goals you're trying to achieve, entrepreneurship, whatever the case. That's a lonely road.
It is a lonely road.
Realistically, when you really,
and a whole another topic we could even like this could be something really big. And me and you talk about it a lot, like marriage and entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I mean, like it's it's tough.
We're all married, right?
Listen. When I got into wholesaling, and you, bro, you're my brother-in-law. You know my wife. Ange is one of the coolest peoples on earth.
You know my wife.
Yes, it's my sister. No, she was about it. In the beginning, she was like, okay. She was worried because she was like, all right, what are you getting into, Dan? Like, what type of shit are you getting? Potentially going to get us in. You're going to get in trouble. You're going to get sued. Any type of law shit you're getting into. I was like, relax. All right, I'm only doing research, and then once I started diving into it, and I actually started spending money on the marketing aspect, because I mentioned before, wholesaling, there's a free way to do it, and then there's, I believe you'll get better results spending the money on the marketing, the software, and whatever. So she was worried. She was like, you're spending money on this. Is it even going to work? Blah, blah, blah. And then that first deal happened, closed in July, and now she's like all in. And the second deal I'm working, hopefully that's going to close next week. She's like all in now because she sees like it's a real thing.
So this is a very, very interesting topic. I've been married since 2015, and when I got into the business, 9 years ago, it was, it's straining. I mean, you're getting into a business. A lot of people that get into the business don't make it. So like if you're gonna make it, you need to go out and you need to do extra meetings, and you're not gonna make a lot of money.
Right.
A lot of people in this industry work 2 jobs until they get to a point where they don't have to work 2
Right.
jobs. It's like, okay, well if I do one more deal, a month, I won't need this extra job. So maybe I'll take that leap, and that leap is the scariest leap in the world. I mean, to go from a consistent paycheck, knowing that you're going to make this paycheck, to say, I'm 100% commission.
Right.
I make what I make, and that's what I take home.
But, I mean, I hear you're what, top producer? You were telling me. You're killing it.
So, well,
he gets busy.
Yeah.
Either way, the beginning wasn't always easy.
Right.
I mean, my first W-2, and I will always keep it. It's framed at my desk. I made $15,628 my first year, my first full year. Okay? If I didn't have a second job my first full year, just thinking about having to live on $15,000 a year would have blown my mind.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and then you're putting all these hours in, you're going to meetings, because this business is net worth. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So the more people that you know, the more opportunity that you have for deals, the more opportunity that you have to make it in this business. So you're going to, happy hours, and, you're coming home late from the office because you have somebody that can't talk to you till 7 o'clock at night. So, okay, like, I have, 1, 2 at the time kids at home. If I come home, baby's crying in the background, how professional do I look if I'm in my home office and they can still hear my kids screaming, so I stay at the office. And then, it does end up, putting a little bit of a strain. But, you just got to have that open communication. My wife, I love her. Abby's probably watching somewhere.
Shout out.
So it just takes the communication, and it's just really, it's with anything. You got to believe in each other. You got to believe in your partner that they're going to end up making it. And luckily, enough that she believed in me that I could make it. And, I was able to get to that certain point. So.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, shout out to all the wives right now. Shout out to...
Deal with all the BS that we do.
Listen, right now, this is a special shout out to my wife, Cynthia. I love you. Thank you so much for everything Patrick just said. You're supportive. We're working it out. Thank you. Awesome. Angela, Dan says the same thing. And Abby, I didn't get to meet you yet, but I feel like I know you. Patrick loves you. But no, that's real stuff though, man, because entrepreneurship, like you said, man, that's been my life, bro. The past couple months, it's just been like 6 days a week, 12 hours, no lie. Like, not even trying to exaggerate. It's like, it's real deal. Like, and most of it's phone calls. Like, people get mad because I don't text them back or get their phone call. And it's like, if you seen, I got like 45 missed calls right now. It's like, yeah, I got to get better. I got to get, a team so I could, pass off some of those things. But man, listen, let's we're hitting 50 minutes. This was value packed. I wanted to start it like this, but we got onto some good stuff. But what does success mean to you, Pat?
Happiness. I think it's got to be happiness. I mean, I know some very rich people who are absolutely miserable, and I guess it's kind of a balance, right? It's kind of because you got to make money to live, but if you're not happy, I mean, what are you making the money for? Besides my sons being born and marrying my wife, I mean, some of my most special memories are literally sitting there watching a woman cry as she's signing her name to buy her first house with 6 kids there in the closing room. You know what I mean? Like, she was like, I never thought I would buy this house in my life. Those are great moments. So sure, you can close and you can be a top 1% producer, or you can do any of that stuff, but unless you have that heart to do and love what you're doing and to really want to make a change in the world, I mean, I think people take for granted in our industry that we're changing people's lives.
That's so real.
You change someone's life by getting them their first house. They might not know how important it is then, but one day they will, or you change someone's life by being an investor and having a spot for that person to live. Because if you're not living in a house, where are you living, on the streets? A lot of these people, they have families. They need some place to go. And I think being successful is just another balance of, loving what you do and having the ability to do something that you love that makes you a living. For a long time, we talked about this, I was a singer, right? For a long time, I got to do what I loved, and it made me a living. Up until, you start to have kids, you don't want to travel, you know what I mean? You don't want to be traveling all the time and missing out and, going to baseball games. Shout out to Barrington, New Jersey, district champs, District 14. And watch your kids play baseball, or just watch them grow up instead because you're traveling. So, this was a great avenue for me. It gives me the opportunity to spend time with my family, spend time with my kids, and still provide a life for them. Right. So, I feel like that's what success is all about. It's finding that balance and just being happy with who you are, really, and knowing that you are making a difference.
Dan, you're up.
Oh, I can't top that. I mean, that's pretty much said everything.
But that's why
pretty much said everything I was going to say. No,
it's personal. It's like, what is it to you?
Honestly, I think a lot. No, honestly, success to me is being happy for sure. Because Pat, right? Like Pat just said, if you're
that'd have been awkward if it wasn't.
No, if you're miserable, like he mentioned, he knows tons of people who are super successful, super wealthy, but just are not happy. And I think having success without happiness is not
not your success.
Right, it's this recipe for disaster, I think, because you're not happy doing it. But I think, like, achieving the goals that you set for yourself, like getting those
little wins
that we talked about, you know what I mean? Like, achieving those goals that you set forth, just living a happy life. Like, it sucks being miserable all the time. You know what I mean? It's just not, I don't know. That's, for me, success is those many successes that we talked about, living a happy life, enjoying what you do, building those memories, especially with your kids and your family. All that is invaluable, man, because tomorrow's never promised to us, and it's like, I would say that's my answer. I'm sticking with it.
No, it's wrong. No, I'm just playing. All right, so now do I got to answer this?
I think you do.
Yeah, you
I
do.
definitely think you
Yeah.
do.
All right,
What does the host think success is?
I'm trying to get the right
Now the
angles, man. You're going to do a
Script is
full,
flipped.
full course meal right here. Bang, double angles. Bang, bang. No, but seriously, success to me though is what we're doing. You know, what we're doing right now is like we're masterminding, we're brainstorming, we're talking about what we know and ideas and goals, and not like bringing each other down. You know what I mean? And I think that's the place where once you get out of, you don't want to go back to. So for me, the success is in the mindset shift of being able to believe in myself, be confident in myself, and to just have value to offer, right? I'm always saying value, and the reason why I say that is because for a long time in my life, I didn't feel valuable, you know, and it comes from a real personal place for me, and that's why what I'm doing is real. Like, you know, what I always thought I was gonna be like when I first got my life together was like, you know, a preacher or an evangelist, but it's the same thing now. Like with what I'm doing, it's trying to empower people and not bring anybody down, and, you know, give people a way. And for me, that way has been a lot of what's going on in my life and transpiring right now. So, you know, I heard this quote: success is when other people say you've made it. And a lot of people from my personal circle, you know, have been complimenting me on the content they see, the quality of the content, you know, because everybody has an opportunity on social media. You know, it's just really niching down and deciding what audience you're going to serve, and then just going for it and doing things like this. So, listen, man.
What do you say? Your network?
Your network is your net worth, y'all. Man, y'all know what it is. Live at the Network Studios, man. We had a powerful, packed podcast. Any last words, gentlemen?
Interested in getting a home loan, purchasing your house, knoxlendingteam.com, knoxlendingteam.com.
Check them out, guys. Go check them out. What about you, Dan?
Look, if you want to get into wholesaling,
You
or
got some
anything
things in the works, huh?
or anything real estate, follow me at FlipnGrind on TikTok, and just ask away, man. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You know, so come join.
Knowledge is power, right?
Knowledge is power.
Straight up, man. And listen, y'all know where to find me at Content Creating Realtor. This is what we do, man. Network is your net worth. Peace.